Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for coming in. This is the 20. I should have done my homework. The 25th or 6th symposium, going virtual this year again for the second year in a row, and we're really pleased to have Brian Barlow talk about referee attrition, and just general behavior that's just not acceptable. Mr. Barlow has been on numerous national speaking engagements across all news networks, and he's going to entertain us for a while. I feel sure of that. So, Mr. Barlow, take it away.
I'm going to take it away. Very good. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me and trusting me with this information. And I'm not so sure I'm going to entertain you, but I'm definitely, I'm going to entertain you. And I'm also going to educate you. And I'm also going to try to put you in a mindset of what can we do to be better officials? What can we do to facilitate change and all that kind of good stuff? So let me just start with a brief introduction. I'm going to talk a lot about myself, but just so you understand, there's a level of credibility here. I am a regional referee for USSF. I'm also a national NISOA official. My most recent accomplishment was getting assigned the semifinal national championship in JUCO for 2021, which was just a few months ago. And but my biggest pride and joy is I have two twins. They're Irish twins, and I love them both. But both of them used to ref, and only one refs now, and his name's Eli. And you see him in the middle there. But that was his first state cup match, where he then got invited to go to regionals, and he beat his dad. He got to regionals, and he actually got assigned a final assignment on the last day at regionals. And I was super, super proud and excited. And as Mark mentioned, I've been all over the networks. You've probably seen me on Good Morning America, The Today Show, NBC Nightly News, Dr. Phil, Inside Edition. It just kind of blew up on me. I don't want to talk much about myself. If you're not a follower or a fan of the Offside page, I would encourage you to go to the Offside page and check it out. It's a portal of shaming people who behave badly at youth sporting events, and it's a major, major no-no, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop. So I created this Facebook page on the premise that as an official, we can't always say what we want to say when someone says something not so nice to us. When we're trying to manage a coach, we can't always say what we want or what we feel. So I started this little page at the very beginning. It was little, called Offside. And the reason I call it Offside is because, for heaven's sake, it's not offsides. You can't be offside on both ends of the field. Offside is not plural, it is singular. And so when you're screaming offsides, you're automatically wrong. You are automatically lost all credibility with me as an official and my crew. You don't even have the right wording. So I started this little page called Offside. And what most people don't know is I'm already making fun of you. You don't even know. And I use it as a satirical site to basically make fun. When I'm not in my uniform, I'm behind the Facebook page and on my keyboard, and I can say what I heard today and how atrocious it sounded and why you shouldn't say it. It had a little bit of a following. I think at its peak before it went viral, 4,000 or 5,000 people following. And then one day, someone sent me a piece of video of a referee getting abused in Arkansas, a youth referee. And an adult kicked the ball at her in uniform reffing. And I am a motivational speaker. I speak about progressive marketing. I'm hired a lot by Fortune 500 companies, small, medium, large companies all over the country and sometimes internationally. And my biggest cry to them is sometimes you have to make a bold statement. If you want to get noticed in today's world, if you want to make change and get people talking about you, you got to get uncomfortable and you've got to make a bold statement. So as I'm sitting here looking at this video, I decide, you know what, I'm going to take my own advice here. I'm going to make a bold statement. I'm going to post this video on this page, even though this page is a little bit more satirical and me making fun of you. I'm going to post this video. I'm going to make a bold statement. My bold statement is going to be this. If you ever capture, first off, this video is abusive. It's awful. And if you capture referee abuse like that, I don't care what sport. If you capture referee abuse like this, and you send me the video, and we post the video on this page, I'm going to send you $100. That was my bold statement. I'm going to take matters into my own hand. That message, that video went viral. The New York Times following me. 2 weeks later, they call me up. They're like, hey, we're following your page and we want to come do a story on you. I'm like, what? Why? Because this is a bad thing. Like, people behaving badly at sporting events is bad. It's bad. And you're a referee and you're doing something about it. And I thought it was a joke. They come and did a story. I started getting videos, bad videos.
Wow. Hey, tough. Wow. Hey, tough. Someone call the cops right now. Call the cops. You? Hey, knock it off. We're on down. Goddamn cops. Hey, what does my sexual orientation have to do with anything? Fuck your team, Blue. The whole goddamn team. And your community. Fuck all. Go get Avery. Put that shit on. I go get Avery right now. I'm gonna get her. Show that it's me. Hey, I'm not upset. This is my job. Let's go. Where's the chair?
So I'm going to cut it off before it gets crazy. And the reason I want to cut it off before it gets crazy, because I want to talk about the culture of unacceptable. Cocksucker, fuck you, Blue. I'm not even going to recount all the other things that he said. And this video that I'm showing you right now is mild in comparison to the type of videos that I get from all over, not just this country, but the world. And it's a culture of unacceptable, but we've made it a culture of acceptable. And that's my problem. That's my cry.
No, it was sarcastic. They're out of their damn mind.
It's like him. I got a whole thing on video.
We tell our kids to stand up for our YouTube over here. They don't like it. Go stand behind mommy and them.
I got the whole thing on video. I got everything on video. Well, first, this guy got kicked off. He started fighting with other parents.
You got it all. You got the kid getting kicked?
Yeah, no, I didn't get that.
Dang
I
it.
turned to talk to let the parents go. Dang
it. I didn't see you. Really?
Is Riley?
Are you serious? What? Now you're going to call him? It's been all goddamn game. Oh, shocking. I'm surprised because I've been telling you that it's been all damn game, so you're going to card him?
He didn't kick him?
He's been fucking doing it all damn game.
You were looking at us.
Really? Because you were talking to me. You were talking to me, so how are you watching him? Really?
Sorry.
It's a culture of word vomit. And on just those two videos alone, the most disturbing part about this is the first one is in an under 12 boys game. And we're using words like cocksucker, motherfucker. And then the next one is like a U10 game. She says the words all goddamn game. Are you kidding? We've allowed this to be acceptable. The kids are simply bystanders watching all this happen. And it's a major, major problem. It's a culture of I can do it better. I mean, if you're screaming, get your hands off my fucking child in front of a U8, two teams of U8s, you obviously think you can do it better.
You are horrible. You are horrible. Go home. Horrible. Are you kidding? Horrible. Are you kidding me? How do you call a call when he touches him and you do nothing?
What are you doing about it? We all seen it. We've all been a part of it. We all witness it. We all know there's a major problem. We all know that it's a negative impact on the game that we officiate. My question is, what are you doing about it? You have the keys. You have the control of the match. And I'm not talking, listen, I'm not just talking about you, referee. I'm talking about you, coach. I'm talking about you, club president. I'm talking about you, board member. I'm talking about you, fellow parent, who sits there and turns his face and watches the other parent make a complete ass of themselves, or what we call cheeseburger. What are you doing about it? Everyone's turning a blind eye. We have discussions. We have meetings. We go on social media and we post about it. But ultimately, what are we as a unit doing about it? This is a culture of unacceptable. And yet we've accepted it. I have problems with it. And you, my friends, as officials, should have problems with it. It's affecting the game. It's affecting the players. It's affecting our referee, our recruitment of referee, our referee retention. And it's affecting the purity of competition. And you leaders, that should be your number one concern. And I know money is important. I know power and influence is important. I know game count is important. I know registration fees are important. But the culture has to be established. Because it's affecting the purity, the innocence, the aspects of development, sportsmanship, all the things that sports is supposed to be about is missing because we've accepted this culture of unacceptable. We've accepted it, and it's turning into a cancerous, toxic environment. We're asking our inexperienced, our young, our green officials in all sports to go in the most vile, toxic, cancerous environments. We're asking them to step on and then be bold and make bold moves and tell the adults who we're supposed to look up to and respect to go tell them how to act. Listen, we are officials. We are not therapists. So you board members, you club presidents, you people of authority and position of power, this is on you. I'm going to show you this map. And with every red dot you see, it indicates a state that has a referee retention, referee recruitment, referee shortage problem, and or a referee abuse problem. Every red dot indicates it. That's an issue. That's a problem. Listen, come on, ref. What game are you watching? Call it both ways. You're missing a good game, ref. I know, but they assigned me this one. I know all heard it, right? That's a foul. How's that offsides? Their words, not mine. Those are things that, listen, we're not going to change that. Those are just things that we're always going to hear. And as long as they're not public and provocative, personal, you know, that's not what we're after, right? But I want you to take notice of a few things that have been said. And this is just a small sample of what is said to officials. And it should be completely, we should not think as adults that this is even okay. I will find you after the game and I will kill you, said to a fellow official of mine in Edmond, Oklahoma. I bet your knees hurt because you're blowing the game. Austin, Texas. You will never ref another soccer game as long as I'm alive, in Denver, Colorado. I'll wait for you after the game, and your red card isn't going to help you. And that official in Spokane, Washington was beat to hell. I bet you're a flaming homosexual. You look like a fag out here, and you're with your little whistle and your shorts. That was in Tulsa. That was me, by the way. I was the fag with a whistle, my little shorts. Cancer breeds cancer, and I'm here to say that it's an absolute infestation. And I know referees aren't supposed to be seen and heard. I've seen and I've heard enough. I'm standing up. I'm standing up, and I'm telling you that something has to give. We're losing officials. They're not coming back. They don't want to deal with it. There's a referee retention problem. You know the number one reason? It's obvious. It's obvious. Referee abuse. The number two reason? This might be somewhat shocking. Mentorship and education. What do we do? Where do we go from here? That's my question. And my answer is also this. It starts and stops with you, the official. We, as officials in every single sport, have to go, you know what? I'm standing my ground and enough is enough. We have to start taking out the trash. And what that means is we have to be better officials. And this is what most officials or most board members or most assigners won't say, is we need to control our own. It starts and stops with us. We as officials have to at some point go, you know what? I know I have thick skin, but this is a culture of unacceptable, and I'm not accepting it anymore. We as officials have to learn the laws, soccer officials have to learn the laws of the game, and we have to know that whenever we blow the whistle, are we blowing the whistle for careless? Are we blowing the whistle for reckless? Are we blowing the whistle for excessive? And if so, are we going to sanction a yellow card? Or are we going to manage our way out of it? If we're going excessive, are we going to be bold enough to administer the red card? We have to make those decisions. We have to understand the power of proximity, the power of angle, the power of fitness, the power of first impression, the power of professionalism. We have to understand that the way that we hold our body, the way that we blow the whistle, the way that we understand the laws of the game influences how credible we are as an official, thus making us an educator to the game and everybody that's around it, including the coaches, the players, and the parents. We have to do a better job to curb cheeseburgeritis. And that's what no one's talking about. We're the beginning stages of changing a culture of unacceptable. We have to do better. We as officials have to be more professional, more prepared, more fit, and more ready. And here's the kicker. Then we take out the trash. We know that God, listen, if you understand the laws of the game, and you understand there's loopholes and you can manipulate coaches and players, and then take out the trash. Board members, marshals, coaches, you have to understand there has to be a support grid to this. We all have to be willing to take out the trash. We have to stop breeding the cancer. We have to stop accepting it. We have to support our officials. We have to build them up, motivate, protect, and then give them the keys to take out the trash. It's not just a problem, it's an epidemic. You can change nothing or change everything.
Now to our GMA cover story. 45 million kids play organized sports in America, but right now it's their parents who are being benched. The largest youth soccer league in South Carolina is kicking off the season with silent sidelines. ABC's TJ Holmes is the perfect guy for this story. Good morning, TJ.
I can't be quiet. This is not a good story for me. Look, they're being told no clapping, no cheering, no words of encouragement, nothing. Why? Because parents, some of y'all don't know how to act because you messed it up for everybody now with your bad behavior. And you know who suffers? The kids, because next time little Maria, little Vernon score a goal, they will not hear mommy and daddy's support from the stands. You've seen the videos on YouTube. Parents behaving badly. Sidelined on rinks, courts, and fields of all kinds. But now, the largest youth soccer league in South Carolina is saying enough. They're implementing a new rule, banning all cheering and jeering at soccer games.
We just felt as a board that it was time in a leadership way to do something to get people's attention.
This memo, dubbed Silent September, sent to the parents of the 30,000 youth players in the league, explains that come soccer season this fall, all parents and visitors shall be silent during the game, adding, just enjoy your player and the game that they love.
When parents, yell at the referees like that, it makes the kids uncomfortable, makes coaches uncomfortable.
According to the South Carolina Referee Association, the #1 reason game officials don't return to the field is the sideline behavior of parents and fans. For the parents watching from the stands, the reaction to this was mixed.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to benefit the children as well as the referees.
I was a little surprised because I'm one of those that enjoys at times coaching from the sidelines and also encouraging from the sidelines.
And as for the players,
you should be able to cheer when your kids scores a goal. I think it's a good idea because I don't like when my mom screams at me from the sidelines.
This rule is not telling people you can't be supportive of your child. Of course it's not. It's simply saying to support your child, the best way to do that is to be quiet and let the coach give direction to the kids out on the field.
All right, guys, this is not a new concept. Several leagues around the country have done this.
So I show you that video because I applaud South Carolina because they are making a bold move. I know we've all heard the Silent Saturdays, but they're pretty much putting their foot down and saying, you know what, for the entire month of September, this was last year, for the entire month of September, we're just not going to tolerate anything. No, because that's always the cry from the parents is, oh, we can't cheer. Sure, you can cheer, right? But it always ends up being more than that when the things don't go their way or there's not a call that they want, right? So this club is just saying, well, listen, your job is to get them to the game and let them play. And soccer at its purest form is at its best when you just let them play. So I'm with them. Enough is enough. I'm encouraging clubs, associations, competitive sports, not just in soccer, but in all the sports and all the organizations from the upper levels, because the upper levels trickle down to what is acceptable we got to say enough is enough. We got to make bold moves. My bold move was creating a page and saying, I'm going to give you $100 if you capture referee abuse, and we post it on this page. South Carolina, bravo. Their bold statement is, listen, we're going to go an entire month. We don't even want to hear you. And everyone's like, there's some people who are like, well, I just can't believe I just can't believe that we would do that. We want to at least cheer. No, we lost the privilege. We're taking away the privilege. It's not a right. We're taking away the privilege of getting to watch your kid play. You know why? Because you can't act like an adult. Enough is enough. So I turned offside into a portal of change. I put a $100 bounty on videotape referee abuse posted on my offside page. I asked our state organization, I'm going to ask your state organization to set an example, to have the referees back. And I can tell you, referees, just from the brief conversations that I've had, this group have your back. They're providing education. They're trying to give you content and information. They've got your back. We've got to take it to the next level. We've got to understand the laws of the game. We've got to understand what is acceptable. We've got to draw the line in the sand. We've got to say enough is enough. So now what? This is always the $1 million question, by the way. Great, Barlow. We know there's a problem. We see your videos all over. We understand they go viral. We see you on TV. Everyone's talking about it in those specific state and clubs and associations. Everyone knows referees aren't coming back. Everyone knows there's referee abuse. Listen, let's stop talking about that and let's talk about resolution. So for me, it's simple. It's set an expectation. And again, that comes from the board, that comes from the coaches, and it comes from you, the officials. I don't know how many times, especially whenever I was really starting to come up with refereeing, I would grab the captains. By the way, have personality when you do the coin flip. It's the first impression. Have good body language. Enjoy that moment. Okay. Now I always tell the captains, hey, listen, and I have a cheeseburger coin, by the way. It's got cheeseburger on one side, stop on the other. I say, hey, by the way, captains, my name is Barlow. This is David. And this is Scott. And we're your officials today. I'm super excited to be here. This is a very special coin, by the way. Only the best referees in the world have this coin. David let me borrow his because I forgot mine. It's an icebreaker. Stupid. Sometimes they laugh. Sometimes they don't. Again, I'm trying to show personality. I do the coin flip. Yeah, you won. What would you like? Blah, blah. I say, hey, guys, before you go, I just want to let you know, I don't tolerate any crap. You're going to respect me and my officials at all times, whether you agree with the call or non-call. And let me tell you this. I'm never going to yell at you when you miss a wide open shot or miss a wide open pass to one of your players. Me or my crew, we're never going to run to you and yell at you and point fingers at you. Okay? So guess what? You're never going to do that to us either. Are we on the same page? Because let me tell you something. The first time I see it, there's going to be consequences. Works wonders. Now I get it. Not everybody has personality. Not everybody's going to be chatty and all that guys. And once you get to the collegiate level and the pro level, you can't really do that. But we're talking grassroots here, right? So you're setting an expectation. The first time a coach yells at me, not the second, not the third, you make something public and make me look like an idiot, I'm going to run over and go, okay, coach, I'm listening. I just didn't want you to yell at me. I'm listening. Gotcha. Coach, I hear you. And I'm going to do better. And if you don't mind, if you would just not yell at me, it makes me look bad. And if you just simply talk to me, I'll try to work with anything, but I'm not going to come over here all the time. I hear you. I'm going to work on it. No more from that. No more from the sideline. Are we good? Are we on the same page? Awesome. Thank you, coach. Very rarely do I have a second problem. Very, very rarely. Hear a parent from the other side? Hey, coach. Yeah. I got it. Cool. That's the coach setting the expectation. But let me take you preseason. If I'm a coach, and I was not a high level coach, I'm not going to pretend to be a coach. And I know coaches wouldn't pretend to be a referee, right? I told my parents, I'm like, listen, I'm just going to tell you something. Referees are completely off limits. You're never going to hear me yell at a referee, and I'm never going to allow you to yell at a referee ever. The moment that you yell at a referee, I'm going to sub your player out. He's going to come sit with you, and he's going to explain why. Hey, mom, dad, why am I sitting with you? And you're going to you can explain it to him. I'm not going to. I set that expectation, and I promise you, I have subbed many of players out, and they have sat with their mom or dad. They never did it again. That's setting an expectation. Clubs, associations, teams, competitive clubs, whatever it is, set the expectation that you have the coaches back. Let the coaches know that you have an expectation on how you want your referees managed and handled. And it trickles down. We have to set an expectation, but it starts with us, with the officials. It also means that we have to look professional. We have to be personable, and we have to be prepared, because that gives us credentials to set the expectation. Do you see how this? I'm trying to weave this circle of it always goes back to us. My games, do I have problems? Sure, I do. Do I have to work myself through a situation? Absolutely. But I'm telling you, if we are confident in our knowledge and our confidence of the laws of the game, and we have proximity and angle, and we're always there during the minor moments, during the careless moments, when it comes time for there to be an excessive moment, a serious foul play, a dog show, and we're there, the work is already done. We've already established credibility. Key here is accountability. Are you bold enough to make a big decision? You better be. You have the badge for a reason. Administration, are you bold enough to remove a popular coach for getting a red card? You better be. Coach, Are you powerful enough? Are you bold enough? Are you strong enough to remove a parent or a player who's disrespectful to a referee? You better be. This is changing the culture of unacceptable. We have to be willing to drop the hammer. Sometimes we're going to be wrong. And that's okay. Own it. But we have to be willing to drop the hammer. And I promise you, if we as officials are fit, are credentialed, are prepared, are ready, are confident, have positive body language, salesmanship, if us as administrators have put our best foot forward and set an expectation, if us as coaches has said, hey, I want to just coach, I'm going to let them ref, and I want you to watch as spectators, how powerful would we all be as a unified group of people providing sports and sportsmanship and development? And isn't that what this is supposed to be? I'm trying to paint a different picture here, because the picture that I'm seeing, the picture that I'm experiencing, the picture that I see over and over and over is a culture of unacceptable that's become acceptable with no resolution in sight. I'm done with meetings. I'm done with the discussion. I want resolution. And I want you as individual referees to be prepared enough to be the culture of change within your own system and your own self, and you draw the line and you tell them what is acceptable. I know my line. I know my line from the laws of the game standpoint of view. Once we cross that, what's my threshold? And leave alone the thick skin thing. Leave alone that I'm older and I can manage it. I don't need to do red cards and yellow cards because I'm experienced. That's BS. You're leaving it for the others. Referee crew, the young, inexperienced crew who might not be as old or as thick-skinned as you. Stop leaving the trash for someone else to take out. That's what I mean when dropping the hammer. We've got to drop the hammer. I got to take a drink. I missed the stage, by the way. I missed the stage, man. You know, I'm getting more stage stuff. But man, when COVID hit and you're not on the stage, I feed off energy, man. I feed off body language. I feed off people looking at you. Are they getting it? Man, I hope you guys are getting this, because I'm passionate about it. We can affect, guys. I'm one person. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm different than most. I know I swim upstream. I have changed more people than I could have ever imagined. I know some people hate me. I get it. They don't agree with the theory, the tactics, the shaming of people. I get it. And listen, you don't have to do it my way. Let's just do it some way. Let's just at least attempt to try. And the reason I tell you this is I think it's as simple as creating a culture of the Masters. And for those of you that are golfers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you that don't, stepping on the grounds of the Masters is one of the most precious things I've ever done in my entire life. I've had the privilege of getting to the Masters 4 or 5 times, but the first time was so great. I never will forget. It was years and years ago. I never will forget. It was bright blue, sunny, bright blue. It was like God said, winter is over. Come to Georgia. And I did. And the grass is so green, and the azaleas and the color. And man, I'm so grateful I am at the Masters. And I take a moment and I sit down. And I'm on this foothill. I was like, I am so lucky. And I just lean back on the foothill and I lay down. And within 15 seconds, I was surrounded by security, patrol, and people in normal clothes who were also security. So we're going to ask you to stand up, please. Me? Yes, sir. Please stand up. Sir, your name? It's Brian Barlow. Sir, when you walked in and when you received your tickets, it clearly stated that at the Masters, the grounds at Augusta, you don't lay down on the ground. You will always stand up or sit upright in a chair. You can sit on the ground, but upright. You're not allowed to lay down. I understand. I was not clear. Mr. Barlow, we just want to make sure you know, if we catch you doing that again, you'll lose the privilege of coming to the Masters this year, and you will be on the no ticket list for future years. Are we good? I'm good. Did not know. My point to this story is this. There is a expectation when you walk into the Masters. And I don't want to hear the garbage of, well, we can't tell them how to act because they have all the money and the influence. Okay, listen, the most powerful, affluent people in the world go to the Masters. They are told, this is how you're going to act. This is the consequence if you don't act that way. And you're not welcome back if you do anything other than that. And I never forget, I did not want to lose the privilege of going to the Masters, getting to watch the Masters. And man, what if we, as board members, as directors of clubs, as coaches, and as officials, what if we set the standard, declared the expectation, knew what the consequence was, and then dropped the hammer? I almost got the hammer dropped on me. I didn't want it. But I'm telling you this, if you can do that to the most influential, affluent people in the world, every single year you are told this is the expectation or you lose the privilege. If we were that bold, we could change that culture of unacceptable to a culture of acceptable. Don't tell me it can't be done. It's done every single year at the Masters. I want to show you this story. By the way, before I show you this story, this is Offside Academy. I'm just going to give you a brief clip of it, but this is the stuff that we need to teach the parents. So this is side before self. This is teaching parents what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. This is just a small clip. I just want to show you as an example of how we can help. When we're as good as we are, when we're badge, we're experts, we're also educators. I just want to show you this.
Close to the field. All right, listen, we know you want the best seat in the house, and we know that you want to be close to the field. But as a referee, can I tell you how important it is that you sit at least 5 yards away from the sideline, or what we, the professionals, call the touch line. This is the touch line. For some reason, it has become standard to just park our chairs right there, right on the line, or just behind it. Don't. Please don't. A good AR actually runs 1 to 2 yards behind the line. So the touch line is actually in his or her lower peripheral vision, allowing the AR to position his or her body square to parallel to the second to last defender or the ball, whichever is closest to the goal line, or what we call the offside line. We need confidence that the space that we...
So yeah, we get that, right? So we're educating parents, just little things like that. Also, I want to show you this video right here real quick. Okay, the reason I'm showing this is this happens way too much, and we just stand there and we allow it to happen. You know what this cheeseburger's mad about? Someone threw the ball in 7 yards away from where the ball went out. We've allowed this to happen. We as officials, stuff like this should not happen. Board members, marshals, if you see stuff like this, they're not allowed to speak to the officials like that, especially after the game. We have to stop entertaining stuff like this. And I want to end this with a segment I call Behind the Badge. It's a segment we put on the Offside page about once every month or two. And by the way, we're getting ready to expand the Offside page to individual state pages as well, to where this content can go to specific clubs, or specific states, and we can hold cheeseburgers accountable in specific states. So their close family, friends, and colleagues can see their actions, and we can shame them even more. But I try to humanize officials as well. And the reason I want to show you this is because I get to travel all over the country, and I get to interview referees, and I get to hear their stories. These stories, I could do 4 or 5 stories a day and never get caught up. But this is the story of Robbie.
El Paso, Texas. Two soccer officials trying to outrun the other. One's 17, one's 43. Robbie, the 17-year-old from El Paso, won. This isn't breaking news, and neither is the news of another official getting attacked. This time, a kid. So Barlow hopped a plane and went to Texas.
And so Ryan Barlow created this Facebook page. It's called Offside. And his mission is to shame parents, coaches, or players who lash out at officials. And he posts videos like these, and he offers support to referees. When he heard about 17-year-old Roberto Eager's assault, he decided to come down here to meet him.
I'm meeting with Robbie. I'm meeting with his family. We're going to the pitch where he was attacked.
5 days before, this was a crime scene with no arrest. This is Robbie's story, behind the badge.
There was a team from Juarez, and the team from Juarez was winning 1-0, and they got scored on the second goal. And the coach that I had been reffing before all his games in the tournament and past tournaments, he started to insult me, saying that it was my fault that they were losing and all this other stuff. So then he insults me, I red carded him, and I asked him to leave the pitch. And when he refused to do so, he asked me to just end the game.
We're not allowed to show the attack pending an investigation, but the video doesn't lie, and Robbie's dad has some choice words for his son's attacker.
What would you say to the coach that did it? What would you say to him if he was sitting in front of you right now?
I can't say that. I mean, I would probably curse him.
All I remember is being knocked out. I mean, I was told that he hit me from behind, and I just woke up, I was knocked out, and everything was shaking.
Robbie describes what he could have done better. Barlow steps in frustrated, aggravated, and unwilling to allow Robbie to blame himself.
I turned my back, which we probably shouldn't do also, and just be careful.
You know, what he just said is the epitome of what I'm begging people to understand when it comes to officiating. We're asking teenagers to recognize fouls, to manage communication with coaches and players, to be at the proper position and the proper angle of a pitch for a play. But this is where we have real issues, is now we're asking them because the parents are mad because he's made some bad calls. The coach is mad because he doesn't think that that goal should be allowed. And so now this youth referee isn't just a referee. He's a therapist. And we haven't taught him how to manage parents. We haven't taught them how to communicate and manage a mad 35-year-old man. We haven't taught him how to be a therapist to all of the personalities on a pitch. He's got a ref badge. He's not a therapist. And that's where the problem is with youth referees today. They're not properly developed because they're developing themselves. And then we have people acting like complete banshees on the sideline. And for what? It's a game. It's a U9 game. You reffed a U9 game.
Right.
He's 17 years old. And you want better referees. You don't even give the ones that we have a chance to develop, to make mistakes, to make those controversial decisions without you acting like a child yourself. And that's the problem. It's not the bad calls. It's the fact that you don't let the coaches coach, you don't let the players play, and you don't let the officials officiate. And that's where the problem is. And now he got attacked because of it by a 35-year-old coach. How'd you sleep that night?
I don't think I slept much. More with goal score.
So you like to attack, score, celebrate, run over to the sideline, pound your chest. Why'd you get into reffing?
I was invited by a friend of ours, which was at that time the league coordinator, and I started doing it, and I really liked it from the start.
Why? Why does a young person like to ref? I mean, come on.
I love being on the soccer field. I've been here all my life, and I want to be here. I love being here.
If you can't play, you want to be around it, right? This is why most refs ref.
This is Robbie's first game back after recovering from broken face bones and a concussion. So when little Sammy or little Sally gets knocked down, instead of screaming foul or hey ref, come on, perhaps you should just stop and yell get up instead. That's what Robbie did. He got up, got well, and got back to the pitch. Maybe it's the parenting, maybe it's the love of the game. Maybe it's just Robbie. Life lessons by a 17-year-old from El Paso, Texas. Don't turn your back on an adult at a kid's soccer game. What a shame.
Don't turn your back at a kid's soccer game. That I had to write that. And there's a saying that I'm going to use in future speeches that was I learned from a gentleman on this message right here, on this presentation. Mark, tell me who said this. There is no action that justifies a reaction of misconduct. There is no action that justifies a reaction of misconduct. Mark, I see that on his email. And that's the exact mindset that we as officials have to have. Listen, we're not going to get better recruiting officials. We're not going to get better getting better retention of officials. We're not going to get better educating our parents. We're not going to hold our coaches accountable until we change our mind. And unfortunately, it starts with the officials. The officials are going to have to take a stand. You're going to have to get better at your jobs. You have to be more prepared, more qualified, more willing to study, more fit. And you're going to have to draw the line on what's acceptable for you and what's acceptable for you as an official. And when do we start taking out the trash? And we have to start taking out the trash. And everyone in the system has to start taking out the trash, holding people accountable, setting an expectation, and saying enough is enough, because it has to stop. Because if it doesn't stop, we're not having any officials. We're going to lose the game. It's going to become recess. That's my cry. And I think I'm out of time. I think I can open up the rest of the time for questions and answers, comments, suggestions, ideas, whatever you want. I don't even know who's on. I could be talking to myself at this point and I would have no clue. But my time here is done. Mark, if you're, yep, there you go, Mark.
It was great. It was a great presentation. I really appreciate it. So if anyone has any questions, just unmute yourself and ask, or any comments or whatever.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sabrina, yes.
So I am not a coach or a referee. I'm a parent and a new team manager for a classic U15 team. What are your suggestions for, I mean, I know what I would do as a parent, but as a team manager, you know, I feel like I have a little bit more responsibility. So what are your suggestions when I see behavior like this, whether it's from our kids' parents or the other team's parents?
Well, I think, you know, I think early, there's two things for me. I think early you set an expectation with your coach. Hey, coach, obviously I'm going to be in control of the sidelines while you're over here coaching. What are your expectations? Hopefully he has a set of expectations. That's number one. Number two, I think you know, I've learned so much through the years of doing this. There's a group out of Arkansas who the team manager, literally every single game, she has a bag of suckers. And at the beginning of the game, she passes out the suckers. And her message is, the moment you feel like you're getting ready to open your mouth, put the sucker in your mouth. And apparently it has grown. Apparently hundreds of teams in Arkansas now do this because there's a sense of humor aspect to that, right? So that's one. And then number three, I think it's having a backbone. I think it's setting a standard and then making an example out of somebody early. And if you have to, often. And I think it's as simple as, hey, Mark, you know, we're here for the kids, and you know what the coach's stance is on the way that we treat officials or other teams' parents. And Mark, I'm gonna, you know, this is the warning, and if I have to say something again, I'm gonna ask you to leave. I mean, and quite honestly, sometimes it's as simple, and this is what probably made the offside page so popular. Sometimes it's just making someone uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know if I was a parent and I was like, ref, that sucked, come on. And I had someone go, Barlow, hey, that's not what we do here. That's not our DNA. That's not our culture. Unacceptable. If we hear you again, I love you, bro, but you're going to be gone. I'd be like, oh God. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and same thing with the offside page. Nobody wants to see, you don't know how many times I walk on, whether I'm reffing or not. I don't even care what state I'm in. Like, oh, we don't want on your website. I wish that page had that effect for every official in every sport, not just me. I don't need help. So there's a couple ideas for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I got 10 minutes.
I think you've got a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, I can ask it verbally.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen, you know, especially with young referees, and I was a referee for 6 years, but just the reason why we're talking right now, I had been threatened by so many people after games over the 6 years. I just said, the money's not worth it. I got a good paying job. I'm not going to deal with this anymore.
Right.
So I really, really do try to take the approach that, hey, this is somebody that's trying to learn. How do you handle when, say, I'm coaching a match? How do you handle when an obvious misapplication of the laws happen? How can you, you know, what is a good way to handle that with, you know, trying to help a young referee realize, oh, I'm about to do something I shouldn't do, you know?
Well, you're in a little bit of a disadvantage because you're an official and you probably know the difference of not applying the proper application to the laws of the game. But I would say first and foremost, you have to understand your role for that day. Your role for that day is to be a soccer coach. Your role isn't to be a mentor. Your role isn't to be an administrator. Your role isn't to be an official or a parent or a spectator. Your role is to be a coach, and a coach is there to coach, to do what? Coaches players, right? You're not there to coach the referee. I think you have opportunities. I think you have opportunities after the game to say, hey, David, or whatever his name is, or her name is, and say, hey, you know, I know you're developing, and you know, just my players are developing as well. My players might not make all the passes I want them to make, or they might not shoot when I want them to shoot. And so, listen, I get that we make mistakes, but I think there's some fundamental things that you might need to work on. And how about we just talk to your signer and maybe get you some training? I don't know that I would go that direction, but I think that's an option. My thought process is if you really feel that strongly about winning or losing, whether it's a U10, U12, U13 game, I don't remember what age group you said. If it's that important, then I think that you have to take the proper steps and go to the assigner and say, hey, you know, little David out there on field 9 at 10 o'clock misapplied the laws of the game, and it might have cost us a victory. It's something you might want to discuss with him about. So I think you just have to go to the proper channels, remember what your role is for that specific day. And what I said in that presentation is cancer breeds cancer. So what I don't want to happen is I don't want the coach or the parents, once we allow the cancer to enter, and I hate using the word cancer because it's such an awful negative word and nobody wants to ever have it or deal with it. But once you allow it to enter, it manifests itself. It's very hard to eliminate the cancer. And so my whole thing is being preemptive as an official, as a board administrator, as a coach, to be as preemptive and prepared as possible. Already setting the expectation, already knowing what you're going to do whenever listen. You're going to get a bad official. You're going to get an official that makes some questionable calls. It's going to happen. But I think it's understanding the culture, understanding what your role is, and understanding, is that game and is that moment so important that I need to involve myself in it from a different perspective? Maybe the answer is yes, and that's okay. But most oftentimes, if you have the right mindset, the answer is no, it's okay.
Yeah, my first thing was, trying to protect the referee mostly, like, hey, this is the correct application. Might save yourself some trouble. Kids are confused. They're yelling, what in the world? What do you mean?
Yeah. Hey, Carl, let me ask you this though. What gives, so how is he going to know that you're a piece of information that's credible? So that's where the problem is.
That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah. So like if I just had like the video that I showed you toward the end, the guy that randomly walks up because he's pissed because somebody threw the ball in 7 yards down where it exited. If he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, I think you misapplied the laws of the game there," I'm going to go, I'm sorry, what? If you'll just step away from me, I'm going to walk the other direction. I'm going to ask that you walk the other direction. Let's just call it a day. I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee at the snack shop. Can I buy you a cup of coffee at the snack shop? Coffee's free. Yeah, it's on me. You can have it. You know? Anybody else? Did I answer all the questions in the chat?
I think it's good to know that, correct me if I'm wrong, that the federation, when they certify an official now, pretty much everything is done online and you're given a patch.
Yeah.
So the learning curve for officials is really the games.
It is.
And I think a lot of empathy needs to take place, especially with the younger officials. And I can't speak for other states, but in North Carolina, we've got younger is not the right word. We have more inexperienced officials doing competitive matches, which may be a second tier match or whatever, but it's still competitive. So they're more apt to make inexperienced mistakes. But I think the thing that we get back in the office, at the state office, is that, well, they're paid professionals, so they shouldn't be making mistakes. But it's just not the case. That's not reality.
Hey, let me tell you something. I'm doing a college game 2 years ago. I missed a serious foul play on the attacking third of the field in a tight game that's going to determine who's going to go to the playoffs. I missed a straight 2 cleats up, all the considerations. I mean, speed, force, cleats up, photo contact, motor contact, everything's there for a red. Everything is there for a red card. I didn't see it. I didn't administer it. I had good proximity. I had good angle. I saw it right when it was about to happen, but I still allowed my head to turn and I didn't see the outcome. Missed it. So we have to, we have to get out of this mindset that, the officials are going to call and see every little thing. We're not. We're going to miss stuff. And especially at the youth level. Listen, I started an academy called Elite Side Referee. And it's for referees that are trying to go from grassroots to maybe not regional, but they're trying to at least be prepared and qualified to do competitive ECNL, MLS next. That deserves, you need to have some bravado to be able to officiate one of those games, right? I always tell them, and I encourage all our assigners, all our administrators, all of our boards, tell them, go make the mistakes. The quicker you make the mistakes, the better you're going to be. It's okay. It's okay to give a yellow when it should have been a red. It's okay to not give a red when you should have given a red. It's okay to not blow the whistle on a careless foul. It's okay. It's okay to mess up. We have to let our officials know that it's okay. And we have to get out of this elitist mentality that the better official you are, the higher up that you get, the more you look down and frown on the other officials. You are the arm and the reason that an official wants to get better. I want them to want to be me. I want them to want my games. I want the referees that are above me. I want their games. Unfortunately, I'm getting a little older. I'm probably never going to get them, right? But we have to say it's okay to make a mistake. And we as elite referees or upper level referees or competitive referees or assigners or board members have to say it's okay. We have to motivate them. We have to protect them. We have to let them develop in that environment as long as the environment is conducive for development, and get them to the point where maybe they don't make the big mistakes as much as they used to. That's where we have to be. And we're not close.
Hey, Brian, good presentation. It's Kylie. I work with NC Fusion and I'm a director for them. And I think everything you're saying is spot on. I mean, I think for me, the crux is educating the parents that it is just a game. We don't have I coach collegiately, I coach youth, whatever, it doesn't matter. I still make mistakes. And as referees, we still make mistakes. I don't ref. I'm licensed, but I don't ref. And they're always going to make mistakes, even at the highest level. Why do you think VAR was developed? Because mistakes were happening and they wanted to correct those mistakes. And it's the same thing in baseball and all the other sports. But I always go back to, and I've talked with Mark as well, is educating our club parents that this is okay, this isn't, this is not. But what we're all afraid of is the accountability of that. And you spoke to that and some of that, and I'm texting back and forth with another coach that was on here, and I'm super jacked up and ready to get going. And like, yeah, let's just call it the master's rule, hands down, this is what you do. If you're not willing to do it, there's the door. We're okay. There's more people here, and we're going to create more of that. So I'd encourage, I'm encouraged by it, but I would encourage everybody else to have those conversations with your parents, educate your parents on what we expect, and then hold accountable. And we can do that through Mark, our state organizations.
And Kylie, can I just add to that?
Please.
You bring, first and foremost, great perspective, and you bring up a great point. And I think what everyone would be shocked to hear is a majority of the people want what we just described in this presentation. A majority of people don't want to hear someone yelling at the refs. A majority of the people don't want the coach who's constantly screaming at the players during the game. A lot of people want to be told what is the expectation. But when it's so loose and so broad, and the culture is one of unacceptable, there are no parameters. There are none. And I found the more tight we get, the more strict we get, the more we say, hey, these are the expectations and this is the consequence, the more people are like, okay, I get that. I want my kid to play in that. The more strict the coach on how the referees are treated by not just the parents, but the players, parents see that, they love it. But nobody talks about that. So I think you're spot on with your perspective. And believe it or not, I think more people than you guys realize want it. And I think we have to get out of the mindset, well, if we piss somebody off, the money might go away. Let me tell you something. I promise you, I go to the Masters every single year. I was not treated kind. I was embarrassed, but it was my fault. And I would do anything to go back to the Masters because number one, it's beautiful and I love golf. But number two is I can respect the fact that they are into their sportsmanship. It's their culture and it's so big. I respect that. And I want to be a part of that, even though I was embarrassed. Makes sense?
For sure. I think the other perspective is you said, as long as it's an environment for development and the quieter you are as a coach during a game towards everyone, and quieter you are as a parent towards everyone, I think that isn't conducive to a learning environment. And I think that's where we got to get to. And I think, and I'm going to project my opinion and I'm all right with that. But what we have right now in American soccer is parents, you sit over there, don't come to training, don't get involved. And then we're going to go out on the field and we expect those parents to say the right things, to do the right things and act the right way when they're sitting in their cars during training sessions. And it's the same thing. Our referees, nobody sees them doing things because we've separated ourselves versus saying, hey, they're a ref, come be a part of the soccer game, not just dictate the soccer game. And I think, I know we're working on some things at the state office. So I'm super excited to hear what you had to say. So I appreciate it. And I'll shut up now.
Kylie, let me give you just one nugget for your future coaching tactics. A coach that is quiet, that is easy to manage. If I make a controversial call, let's just say a PK, and now you need to, you're not feeling good. You're now verbal with me. I'm going, and again, this is upper level mentality, manipulation of the laws of the game, understanding player management, coach management, which isn't, not everyone's going to have this. But I can tell you upper level, I don't know what level of soccer, sounds like you ref some competitive type stuff as well. An upper level referee is going to give you a lot more latitude. I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. Okay. This is stuff that referees don't talk about. I'm going to run over to you. I'm going to put my shoulder next to your shoulder so I can still see the field in case something happens. I'm going to say, Coach, You don't like that, do you? You didn't like it. Just don't yell at me. Just tell me what you saw. You didn't call that down there. Why didn't you call that down there? That's a PK for me down there on the other end. The same thing happened down there. Coach, I got you. In my opinion, I got a reckless foul. I could have cautioned him. I'm not going to caution him. I'm not changing it. But I hear you, Coach. I hear you. I understand you're frustrated. Just stay with me in the game. All right? I run off. The coach feels heard. He doesn't have to yell. There doesn't have to be. Now, let me tell you, you jump up and down and make a big scene and start making me look like an ass, I'm not dealing with you, even though you've been easy to manage all that. So just understand, if for all the coaches on there, understand, man, tactics with how you strategically manage a ref is valuable. And the quieter you are, the more respectful you are, the more leeway you're going to, even if you did yell at me, even if you're like, come on, ref, that terrible call. I'm going to run with Coach. Don't make it so public. I know you're frustrated. Don't make it so public. Oh, man. I get it, Coach. A coach has been yelling at me for 30 minutes. I'm just going to go give him a card.
Yeah, you wanted to shut up at that point, right? Yeah, no. I think the other thing that we can do too is we're so enlightened to give fist bumps to our players and tell everybody else good game. Just a simple fist bump to the referee at the beginning of the game would go a long way. Hey, man, good luck today. And the next thing you know, you have a relationship, I think simple things. I'm with you.
No, dude,
hey,
you're my
look,
spirit. You're
I'm
my
bought
spirit.
in, man.
No, you're my spirit. And I tell Coach Dawson, I'm like, what happened to just walking up to a ref before the game and saying, hey, ref, I know you got a hard job. I'm not always going to agree with everything, but I want you to know if something goes down today, I've got your back. I tell coaches, if you went up to, especially the younger the ref, the more you should. Do you know how valuable that is for a referee? Because we all in the back of our mind, let me tell you something. Referees have a parking strategy. We have a parking strategy. We back into the parking spot. We make sure our keys are very easily to get to. We have a mentality that if I have to be gone from this specific place within 10 to 15 seconds, can I make it happen? Because we don't think anyone's ever got our back. You show a ref, you walk up to a ref, fist bump, say what I just said. Hey, if things go crazy today, I promise you it's not going to be from me or my parents, but if things get crazy, just know I got your back today. Bold, big.
Yep, for sure. Sure.
Good stuff. Hey, good stuff, Kylie. Really good stuff, man. Anybody else? I'm 10 minutes over, so I'll talk all night if you guys want me to, but.
I know we're over, but I just wanted to make just one comment, and I do this in my role in the business world, but what I think would be very powerful as parents or team managers or even coaches is kind of taking stock of the parents on the team and kind of finding allies. And so some of the people who maybe are more outspoken or respected or have been around a long time that carry some weight, and just building relationships with them and talking with them about how to behave. Maybe not so much in this is how you should act, but I've done it as a parent where you go up to another parent, you just start chatting. And then, I always say, it's been a really tough road for me as a former athlete and for my husband as well to sit on the sidelines and not coach our kids. And so, I say I typically, sometimes I have to bite my tongue and I let coaches coach, let the refs officiate, and we're here to cheer on our kid, and that's our job. And I try to have that conversation with a couple different parents because I feel like the more they hear it, the more likely they are to be like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense, especially as their kids get older. So just a thought, like as coaches, or if there's any team managers on, or even just parents, it kind of helps to build a little bit of, strength behind this movement of let's act like adults.
Is that too much to ask?
Apparently.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Listen, I appreciate you guys coming in. I know, in the evening time, everybody's tired and nobody wants to sit and listen to a guy ramble about his passion, but I appreciate you guys all being here tonight and caring enough to at least have the discussion. And like I said in my presentation, man, I'm all about finding agents of change. And I'm getting ready to launch a Facebook page called Offside in every single state. And I'm only growing this thing. And, you know, at some point we're going to have a unified voice of enough is enough. And let's find a way to give the game back to where it belongs. And that's the athletes and the kids. And let's understand our role, and let's do our role, whether it's officiating, volunteering, spectating, coaching, whatever it is, let's be that.
Thank you very much. We're going to, we've recorded this and we're going to put it on our YouTube channel. So it should be up by the end of the week if you'd like to share it with any of your membership.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to. And I appreciate you guys being proactive and putting this out there, man. This kind of stuff is so important. And I wish more people did it. So.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Everyone have a good night.
Good night,
Thanks
everyone.
so much, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.